After the graduation ceremony, my roommate's son, Yan's long post titled "A Record of Roommate Bullying" went viral across the internet. When we first started college, Sun Yan applied to share a dorm with me because of her family's financial difficulties. Afraid she might feel inferior, I took the initiative to share snacks, lend her clothes, and cover various expenses for her. By graduation, she had secured a spot in a graduate program with outstanding grades, while I successfully signed with my dream company. The school's official WeChat account interviewed our dormitory, praising us as a model of the most beautiful dormitory friendship. Just as I was happily sharing our 4 years of friendship, Sun Yan published a lengthy article of 10,000 words. The title was "The Years of Invisible Bullying I Endured in the Dormitory." The article went viral, and I instantly became a public enemy. You think your charity is kindness? No, it's the greatest trampling of my dignity. You deserve what happened today. In the end, I was cornered in my rental apartment by an angry mob of righteous people. They said they wanted to seek justice for Sun Yan. Amid the flurry of punches and kicks, my ribs snapped and pierced my lungs, blood frothing from the corners of my mouth. In my final moment, before death, I saw Sun Yan standing coldly outside the crowd, a hint of a triumphant smile curling at the corners of her lips. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn to the moment I first entered college as a freshman, with Sun Yan dragging her suitcase and standing at the dormitory door. Humph! Covert bullying. Is it? In this life, I want to see how you will complete your studies without my charity. Hello, I'm Sun Yan. Is this dormitory 306? The familiar voice made me look up abruptly. At the door, Sun Yan stood timidly, dragging a worn-out suitcase and wearing a faded t-shirt. In my previous life, seeing her pitiful state, I immediately and enthusiastically helped her carry her luggage, even giving her the cabinet next to my bed. But in this life, yes, I replied indifferently, continuing to organize my own belongings. Without looking up, Sun Yan was taken aback, probably not expecting me to be so cold. She dragged her suitcase in by herself and struggled to lift it onto the upper bunk. Classmate, could you give me a hand? This suitcase is a bit heavy. I looked up at her. Sorry, I have a bad back. With that, I turned and headed to the restroom. By the time I came out, Sun Yan was already sweating profusely from hauling the suitcase up. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a hint of grievance and confusion. In my past life, I would have definitely softened, feeling that I was being too cold. But now, I only find it laughable. This is the person who, 4 years later, described my kindness as condescending charity, and my help as trampling on her dignity. In the end, she coldly watched me get beaten to death. What's your name? Sun Yan asked cautiously. Lin Ching. Ching. Can I call you that? We're going to be roommates from now on, spending 4 years together. She flashed a fawning smile. In my past life, that smile fooled me for 4 whole years. Just call me by my full name, I said coldly. I'm not used to others calling me by my nickname. Sun Yan's smile froze on her face. At that moment, the other 2 roommates also arrived one after another. Zhao Yu and Qian Xiao were both locals from well-off families. When they saw Sun Yan's outfit, a flicker of surprise flashed in their eyes, but they still politely greeted her. In the evening, the dormitory held its first group activity at dinner gathering. I won't go. I'm not very hungry, Sun Yan said softly. In my past life, I knew she had no money, so I took the initiative to treat her. In this life, all right, the 3 of us will go. I stood up and said to Xiao Yu and Qin Xiao. As I reached the door, I glanced back. Sun Yan was pulling a dry, hard bun out of her bag. I looked away, feeling not a single stir in my heart. Didn't you say my help was charity? Fine. In this life, I won't spend a single cent on you. After returning from the meal, Sun Yan was already asleep, or rather, pretending to be asleep, because I could clearly see her eyelashes trembling slightly. Xiao bought some snacks and shared them with everyone. Is Sun Yan asleep? Should we wake her up? If she's asleep, don't disturb her, I said. The next morning, I was woken up by a rustling sound. Opening my eyes, I saw Sun Yin rummaging through the biscuits on my desk. "What are you doing?" Startled, Sun Yin's hand trembled, and the biscuit fell to the floor. I just didn't eat dinner last night. I'm a bit hungry. In my past life, I would have said it's fine, and let her eat whatever she wanted. In this life, this is my stuff. I sat up from the bed, my tone cold. "If you want to eat, buy it yourself." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Sun Yin hurriedly apologized, her face flushing bright red. She bent down to pick up the cookies from the floor. I got out of bed directly, took the cookies from her hand, and threw them into the trash bin. "You can't eat something that's fallen on the ground." Sun Yin stood there, her eyes slightly reddened. I ignored her and went straight to wash up. When I came out, after washing up, I saw Xiaoyu handing Sun Yin some biscuits. "Thank you. Really, thank you." Sun Yin accepted them gratefully. Xiaoyu gave me a somewhat strange look, probably wondering why I was being so stingy. I shrugged indifferently. "Just wait. In 4 years, you'll all know who the real villain is." A week after school started, it was time to pay various fees: book fees, military training uniform fees, insurance fees, all added up to over 2,000. Sun Yin sat on the bed, staring blankly at her phone. I knew what she was waiting for. In her past life, it was the same. She ended up crying and telling us that something had happened at home, and the money wouldn't come through for a while. Then, without a second word, I helped her pay, but in this life, I just quietly filled out my own payment form. Lynching. Sun Yin finally spoke. I am having some trouble at home, and the money might be a few days late. Could you?" "No." I cut her off. "My living expenses are just barely enough for me." "Too." Sun Yin was stunned. She probably didn't expect me to refuse so bluntly. "I'll pay you back." "Really? Just for a few days?" "Sun Yin." I put down my pen and looked at her seriously. "We've only known each other for a week. Why should I trust you?" That was a bit harsh. Sun Yin's face instantly turned pale. I can write an IOU. If IOUs were useful, there would be no deadbeats in this world." I sneered. Xiaoyu and Chen Xiao exchanged a glance, the atmosphere growing awkward. "How about I lend it to you first?" Xiaoyu said quietly. Sun Yin looked at her gratefully. "But I can only lend you 1,000. You'll have to figure out the rest yourself." "That's enough. That's enough. Thank you. Really, thank you." Watching Sun Yan's profusely grateful demeanor, I felt nothing at all. In my past life, what did she write in that long post? Lynching always likes to show her generosity when others are at their most embarrassed, as if she were giving alms to a beggar. She revels in the feeling of being thanked, in the sense of superiority that comes from looking down on others. Since my help is seen that way in your eyes, I might as well stop helping altogether. At night, Sun Yin was on the phone in the hallway, clutching her phone, even through the door. Her suppressed sobs could be heard. "Mom, I know things are tight at home. I'll figure something out. Tuition for my younger brother is important. I understand. I'll take care of myself. Don't worry." Xiaoyu felt a pang of reluctance. "Should we help her? She looks pretty pitiful." I flipped through the book, without looking up. Those who are pitiful often have their detestable sides. Chen Xiao looked at me in surprise. Qing, what's wrong with you today? You're not usually like this." I closed the book. "I just think people should know their limits. Since your family can't afford it, why come to such an expensive school?" "But she has great grades and a scholarship," Xiaoyu said. "The scholarship won't be distributed until the end of the semester." I stood up. "Forget it. I won't say more. I'm going to the library." As I walked out of the dormitory, I saw Sun Yin crouching at the end of the hallway. Her small figure was curled up, her shoulders trembling incessantly. In my past life, I would have definitely softened. But now, I just walked past, with a cold eye. "Aren't you the one who hates my sympathy the most? Then in this life, I won't even give you sympathy." Military training has begun. The September sun was still scorching, and the training intensity was high. On the third day, Sun Yin fainted from heatstroke. The instructor asked a few of us roommates to take her to the infirmary. After the examination, the doctor said it was low blood sugar combined with heat stroke, and she needed in 4 drip. The fee is 150. The nurse said. Sunyan bit her lip and whispered, "Can I pay later?" The nurse frowned. "No. You must pay before receiving the 4 drip." Zhao Yu and Qian Xiao looked at each other. They had already helped Sun Yan cover quite a bit of the expenses. In the previous life, I was the one who stepped up at times like this. But in this life, I just stood by, without saying a word. "Lin Qing," Sun Yan called out to me in a weak voice. I looked down at her. Her face was pale, her forehead covered in sweat, and she did look quite pitiful. "I don't have any money on me," I said. "That was a lie. There's 500 yuan in cash in my wallet, but I won't give it to her. Please, I really will pay you back." Sun Yan's tears began to fall. "Sun Yan," I crouched down, looking into her eyes. "Do you know no one in this world is obligated to help you?" She stared blankly at me, tears frozen mid-fall. In the end, Zhao Yu softened and paid the fee for her, while receiving the 4 drip. Sun Yan kept staring blankly at the ceiling. I knew what she was thinking. She was wondering why I had changed. Why is that warm-hearted and kind Lin Qing gone? Little did she know that Lin Qing was killed by her own hands. Returning to the dormitory in the evening, Sun Yan came to find me. "Lin Qing, did I do something wrong? Why do you dislike me so much?" I'm putting on a face mask, watching her through the mirror. "Not at all. You're overthinking it. But the way you treat me." "Sun Yan," I turned around. "We're just roommates, not friends. I have no obligation to be nice to you, nor to help you. Understand?" She bit her lip, and her eyes reddened again. "I know my family is poor, but it's not about being poor." I interrupted her. "It's about character." "What?" She looked at me in disbelief. "Stealing from others, borrowing money, with an air of entitlement, and thinking that others should help you." I counted off one by one. "If that's not a character issue, what is?" "I never thought it was owed to me. I'm very grateful." "Oh. Then, when do you plan to pay back Xiao Yu's money?" Sun Yan opened her mouth, but couldn't find the words. I let out a cold laugh and turned back to continue my skincare routine. In the mirror, I saw her expression shift from grievance to anger. "Excellent. Go ahead. Be angry. Be resentful. Just like how you harbored hatred for me in your heart for 4 years in my past life. But this time, you have every reason to hate me, unlike in the past life, where you enjoyed my help, while cursing me in your heart." October. The weather turned cold. Sun Yan was still wearing those few faded, washed-out clothes. One evening, she gathered her courage and asked me, "Lin Qing, do you have any autumn clothes you don't wear? Could you lend me a few pieces?" I was organizing my wardrobe, which indeed had many clothes from last year. In my previous life, I gave her more than half of them. She wears my clothes, yet writes in her diary, "Every time I wear Lin Qing's old clothes, I feel like a beggar." She probably enjoys this feeling of charity. "No," I said. "I still wear all my clothes. But I see you have so many. I bought them. With my own money." I turned to look at her. "If you want to wear them, buy them yourself." Sun Yan clenched her hands into fists. "If I had money, would I still come to beg you? That's your problem, not mine." "Lin Qing." She suddenly raised her voice. "Why are you so against me?" Zhao Yu and Qian Xiao were woken up by the noise. "What's wrong?" Zhao Yu asked, rubbing her eyes. "Nothing," I said indifferently. Sun Yan wanted to borrow my clothes, and I just didn't want to. Qian Xiao yawned. "Sun Yan, if Qing doesn't want to, just forget it. I have a few pieces I don't wear anymore. I'll show them to you tomorrow." "Thank you," Sun Yan said through gritted teeth. The next day, I deliberately wore a newly bought coat, cream white cashmere. Very expensive, but very beautiful. Sun Yan looked at me, with something in her eyes that I was all too familiar with. Jealousy. There was also hatred. In her past life, she had hidden this hatred for 4 years. In this life, it only took 2 months for her to be unable to conceal it. During lunch, I overheard her complaining to a friend from another department. "There's someone in our dorm who is really snobbish and looks down on poor people." "Really? There are still people like that nowadays." "Really?" I asked to borrow an old piece of clothing from her, but she refused, even saying something like, "If you have money, buy it yourself. That's going too far." I walked past them carrying my tray. When Sunyan saw me, her voice grew even louder. "It's her. She looks down on people just because her family is rich." I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at her. "Sunyan, spreading rumors comes with legal consequences." She was startled by my gaze. Where did I spread rumors? First, I don't look down on you. I just don't want to lend you my clothes. Second, it's my right not to lend things to others. Not a fault. Third, if you keep talking behind my back, I'll report you to the counselor. After saying that, I turned and left. Behind her came the whispers of her friends. It seems it really is her stuff, and lending it or not is her freedom. But between roommates, even roommates can't morally coerce each other. I curled my lips into a smile. Sunyan, oh Sunyan, in your past life, you gossiped about me behind my back for 4 years. In this life, I'll make you realize what it means to shoot yourself in the foot. Returning to the dormitory that evening, the atmosphere was a bit tense. Zhao Yu and Qian Xiaoxiao's attitude toward me has clearly turned. It seems Sun Yan has been bad-mouthing me in front of them quite a bit. I don't care. After all, in my previous life, when Sun Yan's article came out, they were also the first to take her side. Since they are not true friends, why should I care? The midterm exams are coming. Sun Yan has always had good grades. This is her only pride. But this time, she ran into trouble. In advanced math class, she sat next to me. Halfway through the exam, she whispered to me, "Lin Cheng, how do you solve the third question?" I didn't even look up. Continue writing my own exam paper. "Lin Cheng." She lowered her voice, sounding very anxious. I still ignored her. She started poking my arm with her pen. I finally lifted my head and mouthed to her, "Cheating is shameful." Her face instantly flushed red. The invigilator noticed us. "That student, is there a problem?" Sun Yan hurriedly shook her head. After the exam ended, she angrily confronted me. "It was just asking a question. Was it really that serious? Asking someone for an answer during an exam. What is that if not cheating?" I said, while packing up my things. "We're roommates. Roommates can cheat." I sneered. "Sun Yan, your moral standards really opened my eyes." She was so angry she couldn't speak. When the results came out, Sun Yan only scored 75 in advanced mathematics. She, who usually scores above 90, has now dropped directly to the middle of the pack. She blames me for all of this. "If it weren't for you, how could I have done so poorly on the exam? You're the one who couldn't solve the problems." I couldn't be bothered with her. "I just can't remember for a moment. If you gave me a hint." "Sun Yan," I interrupted her, "if you pin your hopes on cheating, you'll never make progress." She bit her lip, tears welling up in her eyes. "You're just jealous that I have better grades than you." I smiled. "Jealous of you? You think too highly of yourself. It's true that in my previous life, my grades weren't as good as hers, but that was because I spent a lot of time helping her, buying her meals, picking up her packages, tutoring her. In this life, without these burdens, my grades improved by leaps and bounds. This midterm exam, I ranked 3rd in my major, and she dropped to 15th, looking at the grade report. Sun Yan's expression was quite interesting. Shock, unwillingness, and an even deeper hatred. At night, she started crying on the phone again. This time, it wasn't with her mother, but with a guy, senior. "I'm really so sad. My roommate is targeting me, and my grades have dropped. She just can't stand that I'm from the countryside." I put on my headphones, too lazy to listen to her sob story. But I know she's already started setting things in motion. Just like in her past life, she went around complaining, portraying herself as the victim. But in her past life, she did it behind my back. In this life, she does it openly, because in this life, she has a legitimate reason. In the 2nd semester of my sophomore year, various internship opportunities began to emerge. A well-known company came to the school to recruit interns, and the competition was fierce. Both Sun Yan and I submitted our resumes. The night before the interview, Sun Yan suddenly came to see me. "Lin Qing, What are you wearing for the interview tomorrow? I looked at her warily. What's it to you? I don't have formal wear. She lowered her head. Could you lend me a set? I do have 2 suits in my wardrobe. One is black. The other is navy blue. In my past life, I lent her the navy blue one, without hesitation. In the end, she succeeded in the interview. But I failed. I found out later that during the interview, she said we were in a competitive relationship, and even hinted that I had character issues. No way. I refused bluntly. Lynching. She raised her voice. This internship is really important to me. It's important to me, too. But your family is wealthy. So, even without an internship, it doesn't matter. I'm different. I need the salary from this internship. I let out a cold laugh. Sun Yan, do you realize how terrifying your mindset is? What? Why should I give in to you just because my family has money? Why should the whole world help you just because you're poor? She was left speechless by my words. The next day at the interview, I wore that navy blue suit. Sun Yan, on the other hand, wore a wrinkled white shirt and black pants. The interviewer was a middle-aged woman, very professional. When it was my turn, I performed very well. When it was Sun Yan's turn, I heard her say inside, although my conditions are not as favorable as some classmates, I believe diligence can compensate for lack of talent. I knew what she was implying. Sure enough, after the interviewer called me aside alone. Classmate Lin, do you know that Sue classmate from just now? It's my roommate. She said you two don't get along very well. I smiled slightly. Not really. She often asks to borrow things from me. And, when I refuse, she goes around bad-mouthing me. The interviewer nodded thoughtfully. A week later, the results came out. I was accepted, but Sun Yan was not. She burst into tears on the spot. Why? My grades are clearly better than hers. Xiaoyu comforted her. It might be due to other reasons. What other reasons? Isn't it just because her family is rich? Sun Yan said bitterly. I happened to push the door open and walk in. Sun Yan, if you blame others for your failures, you will never succeed. What do you mean? I mean, you should reflect on why the interviewer didn't choose you. It's all because of you. She suddenly stood up. What did you say to the interviewer? I didn't say anything. I shrugged. On the contrary, you badmouthed me during the interview, thinking I wouldn't find out. Her face turned pale instantly. I didn't. Sun Yan, be a little more honest. I sat down in my seat. Otherwise, this kind of thing will happen a second time. And a third. From that day on, Sun Yan's gaze toward me grew even more hateful. She started spreading rumors in the grade, saying that I got the internship through connections. Unfortunately, no one believed it, because everyone knew that company's recruitment process was very fair. Moreover, more and more people were discovering Sun Yan's true colors. She was petty, liked to guilt-trip others, and talk behind people's backs. Gradually, aside from Xiaoyu, who occasionally still helped her, everyone else began to distance themselves from her. In the first semester of my junior year, I got a boyfriend. It was Lu Yen from the computer science department, a nice guy from a well-off family. One day, he came to wait for me downstairs at the dormitory. Sun Yan saw it, her expression strange. Your boyfriend? MHM, he's not bad-looking. She looked me up and down. Which department is he from? I didn't answer, and went straight downstairs, but I knew trouble was coming. Sure enough, a few days later, Lu Yan told me that a girl had added him on WeChat. She said she was your roommate, named Sun Yan. I sneered inwardly. What did she say? He didn't say much, just asked me some strange questions. Like what? Like asking if I knew certain things about you. Lu Yan frowned. It felt like sowing discord. I took his phone and looked at the chat history. Su Yan was indeed very clever. She didn't directly speak ill of me, but did so in a very subtle way. Senior Lu Yan, do you really know Lin Qing? Her behavior in the dormitory might be quite different from how she acts in front of you. As a roommate, I feel it's necessary to remind you of a few things. Reading these words, I smiled. In my past life, she was the same, but in that past life, she succeeded because I was off guard at the time. She fabricated many lies and ultimately succeeded in breaking up me and my then boyfriend. But in this life, just block her directly. I handed the phone back to Lu Yen. Okay. He blocked Su Yen without any hesitation. Don't you want to know what she's going to say? No. I don't. Lu Yen held my hand. I trust my own eyes. And I trust you even more. Back in the dormitory that evening, Su Yen asked, with a sarcastic tone, Didn't Lu Yen say anything to you? He did. I said casually. He said some weird girl was harassing him. And he's already blocked her. Her expression changed. Lynching. You've gone too far. Me. Gone too far? I looked up at her. Who's the one stirring up trouble behind my back? I was just trying to warn him. Remind him of what? Remind him that I'm a bad person. I stood up. Su Yen, there's a professional term for your behavior. It's called harassment. I did not. You did. And if you keep harassing my boyfriend, I'll call the police. She was trembling. With rage. Lynching. Don't get too cocky. One day everyone will see your true colors. I smiled. My true colors? I'm actually looking forward to seeing what story you can fabricate. From then on, she became even more obsessed with collecting my dirt. She secretly photographed me not sorting my trash. When I threw it away, I recorded the coquettish tone of my voice. When I was on the phone with Lu Yen, she even went through my trash to find used empty cosmetic bottles. Even Xiao you see. I won't stand it anymore. Sun Yen, isn't this going too far? Me. Over the top. Sun Yen sneered. You've all been fooled by her. She's nothing but a hypocrite, two-faced, and fake. Qian Xiao frowned. But we've known each other for 3 years. Aside from not liking to lend you things, Qing hasn't done anything too extreme. That's because you haven't seen through her. Sun Yen said excitedly. She's deliberately targeting me. Because I'm poor. Xiaoyu sighed. Sun Yen, to be honest, at first I thought Qing was too cold toward you. But now it seems maybe she had already seen something. What do you mean? I mean, you should reflect on yourself. Sun Yen looked at them in disbelief. Even you guys. From that day on, she began to hold a grudge against Xiaoyu. And Qian Xiao as well. The atmosphere in the dormitory dropped to freezing point. But I don't care. There's only 1 year left until graduation anyway. Besides, I've already started preparing. I installed a hidden camera in my dorm room. Every time she secretly films me, I have evidence. Every time she badmouths me behind my back, I recorded it. In my past life, I was completely unprepared. In this life, I'll make her understand what it means to set a trap for the unwary. In senior year, the most important thing is securing a postgraduate recommendation. Our major has 3 spots for postgraduate recommendation. Academic performance is one aspect, but comprehensive evaluation is also very important. Sun Yen's grades are still decent, though not as good as in freshman year. She remains in the top 10. As for me, I'm consistently in the top 5. More importantly, I had that internship experience and participated in many extracurricular activities. Sun Yen had nothing. She spent all her time working part-time jobs and holding a grudge against me. A week before the graduate school recommendation interview, she came to see me again. Lynching. Let's talk. About what? About the graduate school recommendation. I raised an eyebrow. What does that have to do with me? I know you have good grades and plenty of internship experience. She took a deep breath. But getting a postgraduate recommendation is really important to me. So what? So, can you drop out? I laughed out loud. Sun Yen, do you have some kind of problem? I'm not joking. She said excitedly. Your family is wealthy, so studying abroad for a master's degree is easy for you. But I'm different. Getting a postgraduate recommendation is my only chance. That's your problem, not mine. Lynching. She suddenly knelt down. I was startled. Zhao Yuan and Chen Xiao were also stunned. What are you doing? Zhao Yuan quickly went to pull her. I'm begging you, Sun Yen said tearfully. I know I've made many mistakes over these past 4 years, but getting the graduate recommendation really means so much to me. I looked at her coldly. Get up. Kneeling won't help. Lynching. Just think of it as doing a good deed. Doing a good deed? I sneered. Sun Yen, do you even deserve that? She froze. Over these 4 years, How many bad things have you said about me behind my back? How many rumors have you spread? Do you think I didn't know? You even want to ruin my relationships. Someone like you, though. You even deserve to talk about doing good deeds. Her face turned pale. Besides, I stood up, looking down at her. Do you think getting a postgraduate recommendation is something you can just have? Because you want it. Are you worthy? My grades are good, too. Good grades are enough. What about your internship? Your research? Your social practice? She was left speechless. Sun Yan, the world doesn't revolve around you. Just because you're poor doesn't mean everyone has to make way for you. With that, I stepped past her and walked out of the dormitory. Behind me came her hysterical cries. The results for the postgraduate recommendation were announced. As expected, I secured the spot. Sun Yan did not. She locked herself in the dormitory for 3 whole days. On the 4th day, she came out. Her face was pale, but her eyes were unusually bright. I knew she was brewing her final strike. Just like in the previous life. If I can't have it, then destroy it. Since I can't be happy, I'll drag everyone down to hell. With me. I waited, waiting for her to show her final fangs. The night before the graduation ceremony, the school's official WeChat account came to the dormitory for an interview. With a theme of best dormitory friendship, they heard that our dormitory had gotten along well for 4 years, and specifically came to do a feature report. I almost laughed out loud. Getting along well. Are they blind? But I still cooperated and accepted the interview. Do you have any unforgettable memories from your 4 years in the dorm? Zhao Yu and Qian Xiao exchanged glances, both looking a bit awkward. I smiled and said, quite a lot, like staying up late to study together, binge-watching shows together, and having late-night snacks together. Are there any touching stories of mutual help? At that moment, Sun Yan suddenly spoke up. There is. Everyone looked at her. She gave a strange smile. Lin Qing often helps me. The reporter's eyes lit up. Could you elaborate on that? For example, when I was at my most difficult, she would teach me to be self-reliant. When I was sick, she would remind me that no one in this world is obligated to help me. When I needed help, she would tell me that being poor is not a reason to expect help from others. The journalist's expression was somewhat puzzled. I still keep a smile on my face. Sun Yan is right. Give a man a fish, and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. Yeah. Sun Yan's smile grew even more eerie. Classmate Lin Qing really taught me a lot. For example, this world is unfair. For example, some people are born superior to others. For example, kindness is sometimes just a disguise. The journalist finally realized something was wrong. Well, let's end today's interview here. They hurriedly packed up and left. Only the 4 of us remained in the dormitory. Sun Yan, what do you want to do? Zhao Yu asked, with a frown. Nothing much, Sun Yan said lightly. I just want to give everyone a gift. Before graduation. After saying that, she took out her phone and opened a document. For years, I finally finished writing it. My heart was pounding fast. Here I am. Finally, it's here. 100.000 words. Detailed enough. Right. She looked at me smugly. I've recorded everything. Every single event. Every detail. So, I pretended to stay calm. So, after tomorrow's graduation ceremony, the whole world will know what kind of person Lin Qing really is. She stood up and walked over to me. You said I didn't deserve the graduate school recommendation. Didn't you? Well then, I'll make sure you don't deserve it either. We're both ruined. Isn't that fair enough? I looked at her in silence. After a long moment, I smiled. All right, I'll be waiting. Sun Yan was stunned for a moment. Probably didn't expect me to be so calm. You're not afraid? Afraid of what? I stood up. Sun Yan, do you think you're so clever? What do you mean? I pulled out my phone and opened a folder. It was packed with videos and audio recordings. What is this? Over these 4 years, I've recorded every rumor you've spread, every slander you've uttered, every malicious attack you've made. Her face changed color, including you secretly photographing me, going through my trash, harassing my boyfriend. You recorded it. Not just recordings. but also witnesses. I said, with a smile. I have evidence of every person you've approached, and every bad word you've said. Sunyan collapsed into the chair. Impossible. Also, I checked out the bubble tea shop, where you work. You falsified your work hours, and pocketed tips. The boss knows all about it. You. Oh. By the way, about that paper you wrote in your sophomore year, I found something very interesting. I said slowly and deliberately, a plagiarism rate of 70%. What do you think would happen if the school found out? Sunyan's face had completely lost all color. So, if you want to publish your article, I won't stop you. I leaned down, staring into her eyes. But are you sure you can bear the consequences? She was trembling all over. Lynching. You're so ruthless. Ruthless. I straightened up. Sunyan, you were the one who struck first. I just what? Just jealous. Just unwilling to accept it. Just feeling that the world has been unfair to you. She couldn't speak. Sunyan, do you know what your biggest problem is? She stared at me blankly. You always see yourself as the victim. I said, word by word. But in reality, you are the perpetrator. 10. The graduation ceremony was held as scheduled. Sunyan's article was also published on time. The title was Those Years of Invisible Bullying I Endured in the Dormitory. The article quickly went viral. The comment section was flooded with insults. This lynching has gone too far. Bullying others. With his power, school bullying must be severely punished. My phone started ringing incessantly. Acquaintances came to ask about the situation, and there were also calls from unknown numbers directly cursing me out. I ignored all of them. I was waiting for the right moment. Soon, someone doxed my information. My photos, my home address, and even my parents' workplaces were all exposed. The online harassment came as expected. Go die. Bully. How could someone like that deserve to be recommended for graduate school? She must pay the price. Some even said they would come to teach me a lesson. Lu Yan was very worried. Should we call the police? Wait a little longer. I said, what was I waiting for? Waiting for Sun Yan to get carried away. With pride, wait until she thinks she has won. Wait until she shows her true colors. Sure enough, on the third day, she updated her article. This time, she described in detail how I forced her to kneel. There was even a picture, included a photo of her kneeling on the ground. However, the photo had been deliberately cropped. The full scene from that moment was not visible, nor were the other people. The comments section completely exploded. Making a roommate kneel. Is that something a human would do? Lynching must die. We've already formed a group to find her. Just then, I posted my first response. It's not text. It's a video. A complete unedited video. The video clearly shows that it was Sun Yan, who knelt down voluntarily. And the words she said, can you withdraw from the graduate recommendation program? Your family is wealthy. The graduate recommendation is my only chance. The comment section fell silent for a few seconds. Then someone said, this must be fake. I posted a second one. This time, it was a collection. 4 years worth of recordings of Sun Yan talking behind my back. Chat logs, where she spread rumors that I got my internship through connections. Screenshots of her harassing my boyfriend. Surveillance footage of her secretly filming me. One piece of evidence after another. Ironclad. Public opinion began to shift. Wait, it seems like this Sun Yan is the one with the problem. She actually secretly filmed her roommate, still harassing someone else's boyfriend. At this point, Lu Yan also spoke up. He described in detail how Sun Yan added him on WeChat and hinted at him to break up. The owner of the milk tea shop also stepped forward. The matter of Sun Yan falsifying work hours and pocketing tips was exposed. Even a former high school classmate came forward with a revelation, claiming she had been like this since high school, always taking advantage of others and playing the victim. An avalanche of reversals had begun. But that's not enough. I played my final trump card, a detailed comparison report, Sun Yan's thesis, and the original text she plagiarized. Similarity 72%. Now, it's completely blown up. Academic fraud. How does someone like that have the nerve to accuse others of bullying her? Disgusting. The school issued a statement overnight. Revoked Sun Yan's degree certificate. Recall the graduation certificate. Add to the academic misconduct blacklist. Sun Yan had completely lost her mind. She ran to the building, where I rented my apartment, and screamed hysterically, "Lin Qing, you ruined me. You ruined my entire life. I'm going to kill you. Kill you." I called the police. The police took her away. Psychiatric evaluation result: stress-induced mental disorder. She needs to be hospitalized for treatment. Later, I heard that Sun Yan's parents came for a visit, seeing her daughter like this, crying heartbreakingly. They spent all their savings to treat her illness, but Sun Yan's condition only worsened. She kept repeating one sentence: "Why is it different? Why is it different?" No one knows what she is saying. Only I do. She is probably saying, "Why is the outcome different in this life? Why is it that in this life, the one who died is not me?" Half a year later, I received news that Sun Yan has been discharged from the mental hospital. But she could no longer find a job. No degree, no diploma, and a history of mental illness. No company was willing to hire her. She returned to her hometown. I heard that she locks herself in her room all day, muttering to herself over a diary. As for me, successfully recommended for graduate studies. Academic progress is smooth. Her relationship with Lu Yan is also very stable. Occasionally, when I think of Sun Yan, I wonder if in the previous life she had not written that article. If in the previous life she had not watched coldly as I died, perhaps everything would have been different. But this world has no ifs. Every cause has its effect. Her retribution is me. End of text. Story 2. The morning of the college entrance exam. I sat outside the exam hall watching a police car take someone away. It was the first day of the college entrance exam, and I didn't step inside the examination hall. I sat across the street at a milk tea shop staring at the police car parked in front of the school gate. In my past life, at this exact moment, I was dragged out of the exam hall by the police, branded as a citywide poster child for cheating. But in this life, the person the police let out wasn't me. It was Josie. She was surrounded by reporters crying so hard she couldn't speak. And my phone buzzed. A message from Lin Zuan. I saw the news. Someone got caught cheating. It wasn't you, was it? I stared at those words, my fingertips turning cold, inch by inch. It wasn't you, was it? She asked so well. In my past life, when I was taken away, she asked the same thing. She stood behind the crowd, her eyes red, her voice soft as if it was about to shatter. "Ziguan, how could it be you?" Everyone was looking at me. The exam proctor stared. The police stared. My classmates stared. And her, my best friend, Linya. Back then, I still wanted to beg her for help. I even called out her name instinctively. But she just stepped back half a step, covered her mouth, and tears fell instantly. That step back pushed me straight into the abyss. In this life, she sent another message. "I'm so worried about you. Where are you now? Reply to me, or I'll call the police." I didn't reply immediately. Through the glass, Jo was being escorted toward the police car by 2 officers. She wore a white t-shirt, her ponytail tied low, her shoulders trembling nonstop. The reporters' voices clumped together. "Zhao Xiaoyu, do you admit to cheating? Who gave you the cheating tools? Were you instructed by someone?" Zhao Zia's lips moved, but not a single word came out. When she looked up, she happened to see me. That glance stabbed something in my chest. There was a trace of pleading in it. She wasn't the one who cheated. She was the one who took the bullet for me. My fingers clenched tighter and tighter. The milk teacup in my hand was crushed out of shape, ice cubes clinking softly against the cup's walls. In my past life, that police car came for me. In this life, I didn't enter the exam hall, so they swapped someone else. I stood up and pushed open the door of the milk tea shop. The hot wind hit my face. The sun on June 7th was scorching, but I felt so cold my teeth chattered. I squeezed to the front of the crowd. "Let me through." No one listened. The reporters were faster than me, shoving microphones forward. "Joe, say something." I shoved through the crowd. With all my strength, a police officer blocked me. "Little girl, you can't get close. I'm her classmate." "Still can't." Before Zhao Xiao was shoved into the police car, she suddenly turned her head to look at me. Her tears paused on her chin. In that instant, I could read her lips. The police car door slammed shut. The vehicle drove away. Line's message popped up again. Zwan. Don't scare me. I lowered my head and typed back word by word. I didn't go to the exam. She replied almost instantly. Why didn't you go? Are you crazy? Today is the college entrance exam. I stared at the 2 messages she sent in a row, but another scene surfaced in front of my eyes. Last night, the internet cafe. The screen suddenly went black. It wasn't a crash. It wasn't a network outage. It was remotely shut down by someone. I stared at that black screen, cold sweat trickling down my back layer by layer. The cafe manager rushed over. Little girl, your computer suddenly went black. Want me to restart it? No need. When I stood up, my fingers were still trembling. In my past life, before I was taken from the exam hall, my phone had gone black like that, too. At the time, Ligna said, it might be broken. Don't let it mess up your exam. I believed her. I even handed my phone to her to hold on to. Later, all the evidence appeared. Faked bank transfer records, so-called contact logs, with the ghostwriter, the cheating device hidden in my bag, and her tearful confession. I really tried to talk Zwan out of it, but she wouldn't listen. So, after I was reborn, the first thing I did was leave the hotel she had arranged for me. I didn't go home. I didn't contact her. I didn't use my ID to check into a room. I went to a shabby little inn in the south of the city, shoved cash at the owner, and said I'd left my ID at home. The owner, seeing me carrying a backpack, and knowing it was the night before the exam, just frowned and asked, staying just one night? I nodded. I'll leave first thing tomorrow. That night, Ligna sent me over 20 messages. Zwan, where did you go? I bought the crayfish you love. Are you still mad? I'll pick you up tomorrow. We'll go into the exam hall together. I didn't reply to a single one until an unknown number called. Is this Zwan? I'm from the Nanshare Education Bureau. There's something we need to verify. With you. The voice was overly gentle, as if it had been rehearsed. We received a report that someone plans to cheat in tomorrow's exam. The reporter provided your name, an exam location, so we wanted to confirm in advance. I held the phone, standing by the damp window of the little inn. Outside, the neon lights flickered on and off. Red light fell on the glass like a layer of blood. Who filed the report? Sorry, we can't disclose that. The other party paused, then added, Sue, if you're innocent, just take the exam normally tomorrow. The call ended. I stared at my phone and suddenly let out a laugh so they would test the waters in advance. Indiana, my past life. I never got that call, because back then I was staying in a hotel with Lena. She said I was too nervous, so she took my phone and played music to help me relax. Later the phone was on silent. The call was deleted. I knew nothing in this life. She couldn't control me, so someone changed tactics. Make me panic. Make me explain. Make me voluntarily say, I didn't cheat, but I didn't say anything. I turned off my phone and went to sleep. The next day, I came to the exam hall, but didn't go in. I didn't bring my ID. I didn't even pick up a pen. My admission ticket was folded and tucked deep inside my pocket. I sat by the window at the milk tea shop, watching as the 9 o'clock bell rang. 10 minutes later, the police car arrived. They didn't take me. They took Jose. No, this wasn't just about me narrowly escaping disaster anymore. Someone had to fall into that pit that someone became. I hailed a taxi. The driver asked, Little girl, where to? I said, the Public Security Bureau. He glanced at me through the rearview mirror. Today's the college entrance exam. Right. Yeah. Then you're not taking it. I stared out the window, my voice barely a whisper. Someone got arrested in my place. The driver fell silent. The radio in the car was broadcasting news about the exam. The host's voice steady and calm. A suspected cheating incident has been reported at a testing site in Nanshare City. Relevant authorities have launched an investigation. I closed my eyes. Josiah's silent plea, save me, clung to my throat like a thin thread, strangling me. At the Public Security Bureau, I walked into the lobby. Hello. I'd like to report a case. A young female officer received me. What kind of case? College entrance exam cheating. She looked up at me. Are you the student involved? No. I paused. But I was supposed to be. 10 minutes later, I was sitting in the interrogation room. Across from me was a middle-aged officer. His surname was Chin. Officer Chin flipped through the registration form. His brow furrowed. Susie Wan, you're saying someone tried to frame you? Yes. Evidence. I pushed my phone across the table. On it were the call logs from yesterday's unknown number, the continuous messages from Lena, and a short video I'd recorded at the internet cafe. In the video, just before the screen went black, the icon of a remote control software flashed in the bottom right corner. I'd only been so alert because I'd been reborn, and I'd casually used my phone to record the desktop. I never thought it would actually capture something. After watching, Officer Chen's expression shifted slightly. How did you know to record this? Because in my past life, I almost slipped up. I pinched my palm, correcting myself, because someone had tampered with my computer before. He stared at me, clearly not fully convinced. You're saying the real culprit is Lena? Yes. What's your relationship? Friends. Who grew up together. Then why would she harm you? That question I couldn't answer. In my past life, right up until I died, I never understood. Line. And I had grown up together. Her family circumstances were average. Mine were slightly better. My parents often invited her over for meals. If she lacked study materials, I bought them for her. If she got sick, I asked for leave on her behalf. In our senior year of high school, her grades plummeted, and she cried, saying she was afraid she wouldn't get into college. I even copied my own error notebook for her. If there was any conflict between us, it might have been Liu Yuanho, that boy, who always competed with me for first place in our grade. He wasn't exactly my friend nor my enemy. We were just constantly compared by teachers during every exam. He was outstanding and very quiet. In my past life, after I died, he came to my funeral. I stood beside my own memorial photo and saw him, with his head bowed, his eyes red-rimmed. He said, "Suzuan is not that kind of person." That was the only sentence spoken in my defense at the funeral. So I never connected him to this matter. I said to Officer Chin, I don't know the motive yet, but I know one place. We're Nano Road Hotel, room 418. Officer Chin raised an eyebrow. How do you know that? Ligna booked the room. She kept insisting I go back there last night. You suspect the cheating tools are hidden there. Not just that. I took a deep breath. There might be a hired test taker there. The interrogation room fell silent for a few seconds. Officer Chin picked up the phone on the table. Checked Nano Road Hotel, room 418. Pulled the check-in records and surveillance footage. The 30 minutes of waiting felt longer than an entire exam. I sat in the chair, my palms slick with sweat. Officer Chin didn't ask me any more questions. He just occasionally glanced at me. There was suspicion in that look. And scrutiny. I understood. A high school senior, who should have been at the exam, suddenly shows up, claiming her best friend set her up, and even knows the hotel room number, and the hired test taker. Anyone would find it absurd. But 27 minutes later, the door opened. An officer walked in, with a file. Captain Chin, room 418, was registered under Lin Ya's name. Besides her, a man checked in last night. Officer Chin flipped open the file. Zhang Wei. He looked up at me. This man has 2 prior records for organizing exam cheating. He was dealt with just last year. My fingers trembled violently. It really was him. In my past life, it was Jane Wei who identified me. He said, I hired him to take the exam for me, claiming the chat logs and money transfers proved it. Later, those screenshots went viral online. My name was plastered in every headline. Female high school student buys hired test taker for college entrance exam. Top school candidates persona crumbles. Parents cover up fails. My father was suspended from work for a meeting that very night. My mother was pointed at and cursed in front of our apartment complex. And I, after leaving the police station, stood on the rooftop staring at the voice message Lena had sent me. She cried saying, Ziguan, why didn't you tell me? I'm so sad. Below that voice message was a short line from Liu Yuanhao. I believe you. I stared at it for a long time. Then I jumped. Now thinking back, the sharpest blade was never the insults. It was those who pretended to believe you, standing at a distance, watching you slowly bleed out. Officer Chin closed the file. The information you've provided is valuable, but it's not enough to convict Lena. I know. I looked up at him. She won't stop here. I didn't go in today. Zhao Xiao got caught. She must know the plan went wrong. Tomorrow's second exam. She'll make another move. Officer Chin stared at me for a long time. What do you want to do? Let me go to the exam. You missed today's test. I'll go tomorrow. Aren't you afraid? I didn't answer immediately. I looked him straight in the eye, my voice steady despite the storm inside. I've already died once. What's there to be afraid of now? Of course, I'm afraid. That exam hall was my grave in my past life. Every time I close my eyes, I can hear the sound of chairs scraping against the floor. I can see the invigilator standing behind me saying, Suzy Jua, come out. With. As for a moment, I can feel the eyes of every classmate stabbing into my back. But Joja is still in there right now. She didn't cheat, yet she was dragged in for me. I can't just save myself. Afraid or not, I have to go. Officer Chin pushed the phone back across the table. Fine, but you can't act on your own. Tomorrow we'll have people watching Laya, and we'll protect you. Too. I asked, what about Joyu? He didn't answer directly. She's not admitting to cheating right now. Her emotions are in a bad state. We're still verifying. She was framed. That requires evidence. Evidence again. In my past life, I died. Because of those 4 words. Requires evidence. I tightened my grip on the phone. I'll find it. Walking out of the police station. The sky had already turned dark. I turned on my phone, and Lin's messages flooded in instantly. Zijuan, where did you go? I'm really worried about you. You didn't take the exam today. Do your parents know? You have to come tomorrow. No matter what. The college entrance exam can't be delayed any longer. The last one sent 10 minutes ago read, did you go to the police? I stared at that line, my heart sinking. Does she know, or is she just testing me? I replied, no, I'm just in a bad mood. She responded quickly. Then, where are you? I'll come pick you up. No need. Siuan, we're best friends. Don't treat me like this. Those words made my stomach turn. With bitterness. In my past life, she said the same thing at my funeral. Siuan was my best friend. She cried so hard she almost fainted, and everyone rushed to support her. No one saw my parents standing off to the side, looking like they'd aged 10 years overnight. Yeah, I'll come to the exam tomorrow. There was a pause of over 10 seconds on the other end. Really? Yeah, that's great. Then tomorrow, let's enter the exam hall together. Okay. I stared at the screen. Leia, if you're really just a pawn, tomorrow you'll show me whose strings you're attached to. I typed. Okay. After sending it, I didn't go home. I went to the Nanwar Road Hotel. The lobby lights were bright, the floor polished to a gleam. I walked up to the front desk and asked, is the guest in room 418 still here? The receptionist checked. They've already checked out. When 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Not long. After Joja was taken away, they pulled up fast. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar voice came from behind. Zigwin. My spine went stiff. Line stood at the hotel entrance, holding a bag of takeout. A white dress, long hair flowing over her shoulders. Her eyes were red, as if she'd been searching for me for a long time. When she saw me, she hurried over. You're really here? Why didn't you tell me? She reached up to grab my arm. I stepped back slightly, her hand frozen midair. Ziguan. I looked at her. How did you end up here? I've been staying here the whole time. Did you forget? We said we'd stay at the hotel together to prepare for the exam. She bit her lip. Today, when you disappeared, I was so worried. Did you check out of room 418? Her face flickered, with a slight change, then quickly returned to normal. Yeah. I switched rooms. It was too noisy there. Noisy. Yeah. The person next door was on the phone late at night, and I couldn't sleep. She said it naturally, even letting out a soft laugh. Why are you suddenly asking about that? I looked at the takeout bag in her hand. The transparent bag had a crayfish restaurant logo printed on it, just like in my past life. That night, she'd also come back carrying crayfish, She wore disposable gloves, peeling the shrimp for me, smiling as she said, "Don't be nervous tomorrow. I'll be with you." Then she used the excuse of helping me organize my backpack and slipped that small black device into the inner pocket. The next morning at the exam hall entrance, she helped me check my stationery. "Hey Zuin, what's this?" The invigilator happened to look over. Everything was perfectly timed. I asked her, Yeah. Did you see Zhao Xiao today?" Her eyelashes trembled. "Joyu, the one in the news." "Yeah, I'd barely spoken to her. But when she was caught, she was looking at me." Lin bit her lip. "Shine, don't take everything onto yourself if she cheated. That's her own business. What does it have to do with you?" When she said that, there was a flash of impatience in her eyes, so brief that the old me would never have noticed. I said softly, "Is that so?" Her eyes reened again. "Are you suspecting me?" "No." "Then why are you looking at me like that?" I watched her tears once. I was terrified of her crying. Whenever she cried, I felt like I'd done something wrong. "No. I only found it pathetic." Yeah. I'll go to the exam tomorrow." She looked up immediately. Really? Then we'll go in together." "Okay." She finally smiled. "I knew you wouldn't give up." I turned and left the hotel. As I walked out the glass door, I cut my reflection in it and saw her still standing there. The smile on her face slowly faded. Her eyes were cold, nothing like the line. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Officer Chin. "We has been detained, but he refuses to disclose the buyer. Proceed as planned tomorrow." I stared at those words, my heartbeat gradually quickening. Jangi was detained, but Lena was still as calm. It meant she still had a backup plan. When I got home, my parents hadn't returned yet. I hadn't told them I was reborn. I hadn't told them how badly they'd been dragged down in my past life. I just locked my bedroom door and opened my laptop. In the search bar, I typed ner kollishen transaksomsheeting. The webpage jumped. With many old news articles, Jiangyi had been involved in a test-taking fraud ring before, specifically targeting the college entrance exam and adult exams. I scrolled down, one post after another. Suddenly, a local forum thread caught my. The title read, "Does anyone know who that cop in the gray hoodie is?" The post was published on the third day, after I had gotten into trouble in my past life. Most of the content had already been deleted, leaving only a few blurry screenshots. One of them was a photo of me being led out of the exam hall. The man standing behind me was wearing a gray hoodie, with a black baseball cap pulled low over his head. He wasn't in uniform, but every news report said it was the police who took me away. I stared at that picture, my breathing growing heavier. The person who arrested me in my past life wasn't a cop, at least not a cop who appeared in public. I saved the screenshot. Just then, a video suddenly popped into my email. The sender was blank. The subject line had only 3 words. "Wanna live?" I clicked it open. The footage was shaky, like it was secretly recorded. The location was a hotel corridor. Outside room 418, a man stood, with his back to the camera wearing a gray hoodie. Laya stood in front of him, her voice barely a whisper. "She didn't come back today." The gray hoodie said something, but the audio in the video was too muffled to catch. Linnea suddenly looked up. "Then what about Zhou Xiaoyu?" The man's reply was indistinct, but I caught the last few words. "Someone has to go in." The screen went black. I sat in front of my computer, my hands and feet ice cold. Someone has to go in. So Joey was just a stand-in. I sent the video to Officer Chin. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. "Where did this video come from?" "I don't know." "Don't act alone anymore." "Who is that gray hoodie?" There was a silence on the other end of the line. "We're still investigating." "He's not a cop, is he?" Officer Chin didn't answer. That silence was clearer than any response. I didn't sleep a wink all night. The next morning, I stuffed my admission ticket into my pocket. This time, I brought my ID card and a pen. My backpack was new, bought on the fly yesterday. I had checked it inside and out more than a dozen times. Before leaving the house, I left my phone at home. I only brought an old-fashioned digital watch at the entrance to the exam venue. Leia was already waiting for me. She wasn't wearing her white dress today. Instead, She was in her school uniform. Her hair was tied back in a ponytail. Neat and clean, like the kind of student every teacher loves. When she saw me, she ran over. Zijun. She linked her arm through mine. I didn't pull away. Her palm was sweaty. I asked, "Are you nervous?" She froze for a second, then laughed. "Of course. I'm nervous. It's the college entrance exam. After all." I looked into her eyes. "Yaya, where were you yesterday?" When Zhao Xiaoyu was taken away, the corner of her mouth stiffened. "I was at the exam hall. Can anyone vouch for that?" She stopped walking. All around us, students and parents were streaming into the venue. A wave of noise washing over us. She looked at me, and her eyes slowly reened. "ZJ Jun, what exactly are you trying to say?" I didn't speak. Then she whispered, her voice so low only the two of us could hear it. "Are you trying to ruin me?" My heart gave a violent lurch. Was she finally dropping the act? But the next second she smiled again and tagged me toward the school gate. "We're going to be late. Stop overthinking." The exam room was on the 3rd floor. I sat down in my seat. Joja's seat was empty. Her desk had been wiped clean, with only a seat number sticker left on it. The corner of that sticker was curled up. I stared at it, and suddenly her eyes from yesterday flashed through my mind. The exam began. The test papers were handed out. I held my pen, but I didn't write a single word. I was waiting for Lena to make her move, waiting for that gray hoodie to appear, waiting for this net to tighten on its own. Half an hour later, the proctor suddenly stopped beside me. He bent down and picked up a small slip of paper from beside my chair. "What's this?" I looked up. The paper was folded into a tiny square. The proctor opened it, and his expression shifted. There were several lines of answers written on it. He looked at me. "Suzuan, come out with me for a moment." The scratching of pens across the entire exam hall paused for a split second. I stood up. Ligna was sitting diagonally in front of me. She didn't turn around, but I saw the fingers holding her pen twitch. In the corridor, 2 plainclothes officers were standing. One was the officer I had seen yesterday. The other I didn't recognize. The proctor handed them the slip of paper. It was found beside her seat. The plainclothes officer looked at me. "Susie Wan, please cooperate with the inspection." I held out my hands. They checked my pockets, my pencil case, the hollow under my desk, and my backpack. Nothing. The officer looked down at the slip of paper. "Who put this here?" I stared at the exam room door. "Check the surveillance cameras." The proctor frowned. "There are no cameras inside the exam room." Then check the corridor. As soon as the words left my mouth, footsteps echoed from the stairwell. Officer Chin came up the stairs. He was holding a transparent evidence bag. Inside the bag was a black gel pen. "Whose pen is this?" The proctor was taken aback. "It was just found in the spare stationery box." Officer Chin turned to me. I shook my head. "It's not mine." He then looked into the exam room. "Student La, please step out for a moment." Ligna looked up, her face paling for an instant. But quickly she stood up. "Officer, is there something you need?" Officer Chin held up the evidence bag in front of her. "There's a tiny receiver hidden inside the cap of this pen." Linea's eyes went wide. "I don't know anything about that. Someone saw you touching the spare stationery box before you entered the exam room." She immediately shook her head. "I was just getting a pen for a classmate." "For who?" Her lips moved. No sound came out. I looked at her. "For me." Tears instantly welled up in her eyes. "Zijun, why would you say that?" "I was just worried you might not have brought enough pens." "So I," she cried, looking so wronged. The proctor's gaze toward me shifted. That familiar look was back again. Like the last life. Lena seized that gap, her voice trembling as she spoke. "Zigja didn't take the exam yesterday. She's been emotionally unstable. She even said, if she can't do well, no one else should either." I slowly turned my head to look at her. She looked back at me. Tears clung to her face, but her eyes were icy, cold. She wanted to bite back at me, just like the last life. Before I could speak, the officer behind Officer Chin pulled out a tablet. "This is footage from the temporary surveillance camera at the exam site." In the video, Linnea stood by the security checkpoint. While the invigilator turned away, she slipped a black gel pen into the bottom of the spare stationery box. The invigilator's face changed color. Line's crying paused for a beat. That's not me. Her voice tightened. Angle issue. You're seeing things. The officer switched to a second clip. This time it was clearer. As she bent down to place the pen, the red string on her right wrist was exposed. That red string. I gave it to her in my first year of high school. It had a tiny silver star on it. The color drained from her face. Bit by bit, Officer Chin said, "Linya, please cooperate with the investigation." She suddenly looked at me. It wasn't panic. "Susie Jean, you knew all along, didn't you?" I didn't answer. She let out a faint laugh. Tears still fell, but the corners of her mouth lifted upward. "No wonder you didn't enter the exam room yesterday." Officer Chin frowned. "What did you say?" Linnea suddenly fell silent as she was led away. She passed by me. She whispered, "You think catching me is the end of it?" Isterdaha. Her smile deepened. "The game is over." Those words made my heart tighten. After the exam ended, I went back to my seat. "2. Pack up." Linya's seat was already empty. Her test paper was flipped face down on the desk. On a whim, I walked over and lifted a corner. On the back of the paper, there was a line of small writing. "The game is over." The handwriting was faint, as if scratched on with a pencil. I stared at those 5 characters, and a buzzing noise filled my ears. She knew I would come. She knew the police would target her. So, today's incident wasn't her mistake. It was a deliberate flaw she exposed. She was confirming one thing. Confirming whether I knew about the past life. Confirming why I dodged that bullet yesterday. I walked out of the exam hall. Officer Chin was waiting for me at the stairwell. Linnea asked to use the restroom. While being taken away, my heart sank. She escaped. Officer Chen's face was grim. Someone was waiting for her. A gray hoodie. He didn't answer. I understood. That night, Laya disappeared. Jiang Wei continued to refuse to confess. Josiah was temporarily released home, but her suspicion hadn't been fully cleared. I went to her house. She lived in an old neighborhood in the northern part of the city. The hallway was cluttered with cardboard boxes, and the paint on the walls had peeled off in patches. A middle-aged man opened the door. His eyes were bloodshot, his beard unshaven, and he reeked of cigarette smoke. "Who are you looking for?" "Uncle. I'm Suzuan, Ja's classmate." The man's face changed the moment he heard my name. "Get out." The door slammed shut. I stood there, not leaving. From inside, I heard Ja's muffled crying, and the man's furious voice. "Haven't you brought enough shame?" "Dad, I didn't cheat." "Then why did they arrest you? Why not someone else?" I raised my hand and knocked again. "Uncle." I know Sia was framed. The noise inside fell silent. When the door opened again, the man stared at me. "You know." "Yes." "Then go tell the police. You good students. 1 word from you is worth 100 from us." His emotions suddenly broke. My daughter has never done anything wrong in her life. She wouldn't even dare to peek during an exam. Now her photos are all over the internet. What will she do from now on? Tell me, what will she do? I couldn't find the words. Joya stood behind him, her face pale as a ghost. When she saw me, tears immediately streamed down. "Susie won." I walked in and briefly explained the recorded video and the progress of the police investigation. After listening, Zhao Zia's shoulder shook even harder. "I really don't know how that thing got into my bag." She thought for a long time. "Linya." I looked up. "When the day before the exam, she said you asked me to help pick up review materials and arranged to meet me downstairs at the hotel. She gave me a bag, said you left it behind, and told me to bring it to you the next day." Her voice grew softer. "I didn't really know you, so I didn't want to take it. But she said, you were suddenly sick, and it was urgent." "What about the bag?" "I didn't open it. Later, during security, the thing fell out of my bag." Za's father clenched his fists tightly. "That Leia again." I asked Zhao Xiao, "Why did you look at me when you were taken away yesterday?" She raised her head. "Because Lena told me if something happened to say you asked me to take it." My throat tightened. "But you didn't say it." "I didn't dare to." Tears splashed down. "I was afraid that if I did, you'd be finished. Too. I don't know why, but I just felt you might also be a victim." I looked at her, and the rope that had been strangling my throat loosened a little. But it hurt even more. a classmate I had barely spoken to, in her moment of greatest fear, didn't push me out, while my most trusted friend handed the knife to someone else. As I left Joya's house, her father stood in the hallway smoking. The cigarette tip flickered in the dark. He suddenly said, "Susie Wan." I turned back. "If Xiao really suffered for you, you have to clear her name." "I will." He stared at me for a long time. "You'd better." Back then, I didn't know how far this man would go later. The day after Linya disappeared, I received a call from an unknown number. "Susie Wan." The voice was processed, raspy, and mechanical. "Do you want to know why Linya tried to destroy you?" I held my phone saying, "Nothing." "Tomorrow, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the abandoned steel mill south of the city. Come alone." The line went dead. I immediately sent the number to Officer Chin. He replied, with just 4 words, "Do not go alone." Of course, I knew I couldn't go alone, but the fact that they dared to comment they knew the police were watching me. After discussing it with Officer Chin, we decided I would go, but not alone. I had a tracker on me. A tiny recording device was tucked into my collar. Officer Chen's people would set up a perimeter outside. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the sky turned overcast. The abandoned steel mill south of the city had been empty for a long time. The iron gate hung crookedly, creaking, with every gust of wind. I stepped over broken glass and walked inside. The factory floor was vast and empty. Rusted machinery loomed like crouching monsters in the shadows. Water pulled on the ground. I stepped in it, and the shattered reflection of the sky rippled beneath my feet. In the center of the main workshop stood a single figure. A gray hoodie, a black baseball cap. I stopped in my tracks. "Who are you?" He turned slowly. I expected to see the stranger from the video, but the face beneath the brim made my whole body freeze. Zhou Jianghua, Zhao Ziya's father. His eyes were bloodshot. In his hand, he gripped a knife. "Susie Wan, you finally showed up." I took a step back. "Uncle Joe." "Don't call me that." His voice was hoarse like sandpaper scraping against metal. "My daughter was ruined. Because of you. And you still dare to call me uncle?" "I didn't ruin her." "You didn't." He laughed. The sound echoed through the empty factory. "If it weren't for you, would she have been caught? If it weren't for all your fighting and scheming, would an ordinary kid like her have been thrown under the bus?" I stared at the knife in his hand. "Someone showed you something, didn't they?" His expression froze. "What do you mean?" "Someone told you I was the one who hurt Zhou Xiao." "Right. Someone told you to wear this gray hoodie to lure me here." His grip on the knife tightened. "Stop pretending. Uncle Joe, I understand you want justice for Xiaowu, but if you kill me now, Xiao will never be able to clear her name. She's already beyond clearing." He suddenly roared. "The whole internet is cursing her. The school told her to go home and wait for further notice. She's locked herself in her room, too scared to go out. Her mother died early, and she's all I have." His eyes red. He took a step toward me. "You destroyed her, and you expect me to stay calm?" I stepped back. The recorder was hidden in my collar, pressing lightly against my skin. I had to buy time. "Uncle Joe, who gave you that gray hoodie?" He paused mid-step. "No one gave it to me." "You're lying." "Shut up. Did Lena contact you?" His face changed. I pressed on. "Or was it Lu and how?" The moment I said that name, Zhou Jianghua's pupils contracted sharply. My heart was pounding. It was Lu Yuanha, wasn't it? He gritted his teeth. "He just told me the truth." "What truth?" "In your past life, you cheated on the exam. Your family had money and power, so you got off scot-free. But my daughter took the fall for you, and her whole life was ruined." My mind went blank. How did Zhou Jianghua know about the past life? Unless someone else also had memories, or someone had fabricated a past life story to feed him. "Who told you all this?" He didn't answer, but I already knew. Wan Hao, the one who had been hiding in the shadows all along in the original script, finally showing his hand. "What else did he tell you?" Zhao Jianghua sneered. "He said, Lina framed you because you stole the person she liked. Luanzhou." "That's right." He raised the knife. "Every single one of you is dirty. My daughter just wanted to take a fair exam. Why did you have to drag her into this?" He charged at me. I turned and ran. The factory floor was cluttered with debris, making me stumble behind me. Footsteps grew closer. Susie Wan. Don't run! I dodged around a rusted machine, and a piece of sheet metal sliced my arm. The pain made my vision blur. A faint crackle of static came through my earpiece. It was Officer Chin run toward the east side door. I looked up and saw the east side door blocked by a half-fallen iron frame. But before I could reach it, someone appeared in front of me. Lina. Her face was pale, her hair disheveled as if she hadn't slept in 2 days. I stopped. She stared back at me. This time she wasn't crying. She wasn't acting. She only said in a hoarse voice, "Zigju, don't go that way." Behind me, Zhao Jiang caught up. When he saw Lina, his eyes turned vicious. "You too." Lina stepped forward. "Uncle Joe, you've been tricked." "Shut up. I was the one who planted the cheating tools. I was the one who framed Zhao Xiaoyu. Come. After me." I froze. Lina turned to look at me. Her eyes were red. "Alright, isn't this what you've been waiting for? For me to admit it?" My throat tightened. "Why?" She forced a smile. "It was ugly. Because I was jealous of you." From outside the factory, the faint sound of sirens drifted in. Distant, but growing closer. Lina heard them too. She started speaking faster. "I was jealous of everything you had. Good grades, good family, teachers liked you. And Lu Yuanhao only ever looked at you. I never stole him. I know." Tears fell from her eyes. "I know that now. But back then I just couldn't let it go." Zhou Jiang gripped the knife, his expression growing more chaotic. "Stop acting." Leia looked at him. "Uncle Joe, all those photos and chat logs Lu Yuanhao gave you, they were cherry-picked. He's not trying to help you. He wants to use your hands to kill Zuan." Zhao Jiang's face turned ashen. "You're lying." "I'm not Lin." Yaya pulled a USB drive from her pocket. "Everything is on here. His chat logs. With me. The recordings of him telling me to contact Jiang Wei. The step-by-step instructions he gave me on how to plant the stuff in Zuan's bag." I stared at the USB drive. "Why are you only bringing this out now?" She looked at me, her throat bobbing. "Because I was scared. Afraid of going to jail. Afraid you'd find out I really wanted to destroy you." Her voice trembled. "Sidyal Yutnya. I didn't want you dead. I just wanted you to fail the exam. To fall from that top spot. To let Luan Jojo see you weren't that great. After all." She raised her hand to wipe her tears, but they only came faster. "Then you got hurt. In my past life. When you jumped from that building. I was terrified. Too." My breath caught for a moment. She remembered that life. "Too." Linua whispered. "I came back. Too." In that instant, the wind in the factory seemed to stop. I stared at her. "You're also reborn." She nodded. "A day. Before you." So she knew I might escape. That's why she switched Joyu. That's why she wrote game over on the test paper. She wasn't completely ignorant. She was just gambling step by step. Betting I'd still trust her like in the past life. Betting I wouldn't dare call the police. Betting I couldn't save Jia Xiao. But she lost. Judge Jiang clearly didn't understand any of this. He just stared at the USB drive in Lin Yue's hand. "Give it to me." "Lin." Yue didn't move. "Put the knife down." Zhou Jiang was suddenly lunged forward. Lin Yue spun and threw the USB drive toward me. "Catch it." I reached up to grab it. At the same moment, a flash of blade light. Lin Yue stepped in front of me. The knife pierced her chest. The sound was soft, like a piece of paper tearing. I cut the USB drive, and also cut her collapsing body. "Lin Yue." She leaned against me, blood quickly soaking her school uniform jacket. Zhou Jiang froze. It was as if he suddenly woke up, the knife in his hand clattering to the floor. Police rushed in and subdued him. Officer Chin ran to my side. "Call an ambulance." I pressed on Lin Yue's wound, my hands covered in blood. "Hang in there." She looked at me, her lips pale. "ZJ June, don't talk. I really hate you." She smiled, tears sliding to her ears. "But I really did see you as a friend." I pressed harder on the wound. "What's the point of saying this now?" "No point." She gasped for air. "So don't forgive me." I was stunned. She struggled to lift her hand, touching the USB drive in mine. "Keep it. Wanhao is the worst of them all. He never liked anyone from the start. He only likes to win. The ambulance sirens grew closer. Linua's hands slowly dropped. I called her name. She didn't answer that day. She didn't die on the spot, but she was badly injured. When they wheeled her into the emergency room, her face was as white as paper. I sat in the hospital corridor, clutching the blood-stained USB drive. Officer Chin stood before me. You did well. I looked up. What about Zhou Xiaoyu? She's been cleared of suspicion. I nodded. And Luanha? Officer Chin glanced at the USB drive in my hand. If the evidence is solid, he won't get away. The contents of the USB drive were more complete than I'd imagined. Linua had saved everything. Maybe to protect herself. Maybe to one day turn on Lu Yuanha. In the chat logs, Lu Yuanho never directly said, Flame Suzy Juin. He was clever. Aren't you always feeling it's unfair if she can't get into Tsinghua? The teachers will notice you again. Don't be afraid. You're just helping her see herself clearly. I'll handle Zhang Wei. You just take care of planting the evidence. Joey was soft. She won't talk. If necessary, you can use her as a scapegoat. The most glaring piece was a transfer screenshot. The pair wasn't me, not Linua, but a secondary card under Lu Yuanzhou's mother's name. Amount, 30.000. Memo, just 2 words. There was also a recording. Lu Yuanzhao's voice was icy. Suzuan can't enter the exam hall. Linua asked, what if something really happens to her? She won't die. People like her only learn after they fall. At that point, I paused the recording. Outside the ward, Linua's parents were crying. I sat on the bench, suddenly feeling exhausted. In my past life, I thought the one who destroyed me was Linyu Yua. In this life, I realized Linua was just the knife. The one holding it was Lu Yuanha, and she herself had been cut to pieces by the blade. The day Lu Yuanho was summoned, he wore a clean white shirt. He saw me at the police station entrance, his expression unruffled. Suzy won. I stood on the steps. He even smiled at me. You didn't take the exam. What a shame. I looked at him. You won't be taking it either. His smile faded slightly. What are you talking about? Officer Chin came out from inside. Lu Yuanhao, please cooperate with the investigation. His face finally changed. On what grounds? I placed the printed chat logs in front of him. The first page was at 30.000 yuan transfer. Lu Yuanha glanced at it. Fake, Officer Chin said. The bank records have been retrieved. The second page was the call log between him and Zhang Wei. His lips tightened. I don't know. Zhang Wei. The third page was a screenshot from the hotel surveillance. He was wearing a gray hoodie, walking into the service stairwell of Nano Road Hotel. The time, 11:47 p.m. the night before the college entrance exam. Luanzhou's face went completely pale. I looked at him. You really like that gray hoodie? He lifted his eyes, his gaze vicious. Suzy won. Do you think you've won? I didn't speak. He suddenly let out a laugh. Do you know what I hate most about you? Officer Chin frowned. Lu Yuanzhou, watch your attitude. But he didn't care anymore. He stared at me. You always act like nothing matters. First place is yours. Teachers love you. Competition spots are yours. You don't even have to try. And people believe in you. I worked hard, too. But no one saw it. His voice shot up. They only see Susan. They only ask why I fell 2 points behind her again. Do you know what that feels like? I looked at his reined eyes. Suddenly, I understood. Lu Yuanha didn't like Linya. And he didn't like me. He just couldn't stand losing. He couldn't stand me being ahead of him. So he had to destroy my exam hall. Destroy my reputation. Destroy my parents' dignity. Make sure that, whenever anyone mentioned Suzy won, the first word that came to mind was cheating. I asked softly, so you destroyed Zhou Xiaowu? He froze for a moment. That was Lin's doing. You taught her. I just gave her a choice. And you gave Zhao Jiangwo a choice. Luanho shut his mouth. Officer Chin glanced at me. I continued. You told him a so-called truth from a past life that I was the one who harmed his daughter. You made him wear a gray hoodie and led me to the abandoned steel mill. Lu Yuanzhao's eyes flickered. I don't know what you're talking about. Officer Chin pulled out his phone and played a recording. It was Zhou Jianghua's confession. Lu Yuanzhou said that if Susan died, Zaiwai's case would be reinvestigated. He said the police were all bought by the Su family, that only a dead person could make things blow up. In the recording, Zhao Zhang was sobbing uncontrollably. I was confused. I just wanted justice for Xiaoyu. Luanzhou snatched the phone, but the officers pinned him down. For the first time, he lost control. He's lying. You believe the words of a madman? Officer Chin slid another document in front of him. Lu Yuanhao, you bought 3 identical gray hoodies. One was caught on hotel surveillance. One was found in Zhao Jianghua's home. And the last one was in your washing machine. Lu Yuanzhou froze. He stared at the document, his Adam's apple bobbing. Game over. The moment those 2 words left my mouth, he whipped his head toward me. That was the message Linya had left on the exam paper. No. I was giving it back to him. A month later, Zhao Ziyu's student status was reinstated. The school sent out a clarification notice in the senior year repeat student and parent group chat. No fanfare, no apology meeting, just a few lines of formal text. But when Zhao saw that notice, she held her phone and cried for a long time. I went to visit her, and she handed me the phone. Look, they got my name right. I stared at the screen. After verification, classmate Zhao Xiao did not participate in cheating. The related misunderstanding has been clarified. They got her name right, but her innocence had almost been lost. Her father, Zhao Jianghua, was sentenced for intentional injury. Before the verdict, he asked to see me. And Zhao Xiao, I didn't want to go. Zhao Ziyao went. I accompanied her through the glass. Zhou Jianghua had lost a lot of weight. When he saw his daughter, his eyes instantly turned red. Xiao, Dad is sorry. Zhao Xiao gripped the phone, tears streaming down her face. Dad, why didn't you believe me? Zhao Jianghua covered his face. That question weighed heavier than any sentence. Before he left, he looked at me. Suzy Zhua, I'm sorry. I didn't say it was okay. I just nodded. Some wounds can't be erased by a single apology. Leia woke up 17 days later. Her life was saved, but her recovery was slow. I went to the hospital to see her. She lay in the hospital bed, so thin she was almost unrecognizable. When she saw me, she instinctively turned her face away. What are you here for? To see if you were dead. She froze for a moment, then laughed. As she laughed, tears started flowing. I didn't die. Are you disappointed a little? She was silent. I placed a bouquet of white daisies on the bedside table. It wasn't forgiveness. It was just a farewell. She looked at the flowers, her eyes reening. I've thought about it a lot. Thought about what? About when we were kids. Her voice was very soft. That locust tree in front of your house. We climbed it together. I fell, and you carried me home on your back. Then you got scolded by your parents, too. I remember that year. We were only 8. She was crying so hard, snot and tears everywhere. And she even got my new dress dirty. Later, my mom cooked 2 bowls of noodles. She put the poached egg from her bowl into mine and said, Shang, you're the best. Back then, she meant it. When did things change? Was it the first time I got first place in the grade? Was it when the teacher told her to learn from me? Or was it when Luanzhou shifted his gaze away from her? I didn't know. She didn't know either. She looked at me. Do you hate me? I used to. Her fingers clutched the bedsheet. And now I looked at the still unstitched wound on her chest. Now it feels meaningless. Her tears fell even harder. Suzy Wan, don't be like this. Leia, I won't plead for you. And I won't say nice things for you. Whatever you've done, it'll be handled as it should be. She nodded. I know, but the evidence you gave saved Xiaowu. And it saved me. She closed her eyes. Then that's enough. As I was leaving the hospital room, she called out to me, Shine. I turned around. Don't let Lu Yuan Jojo affect you during your repeat year. He can't affect me anymore. Wan Jiajia's trial dragged on for a long time. He was charged with organizing exam cheating, false accusation, forging evidence, and inciting others to commit crimes. The minor-related charges were handled separately, but the evidence for his adult actions was complete. On the day of the verdict, I sat in the gallery. Luanhao wore dark clothes, his hair cut short. He no longer looked like that clean, top-ranked competitor. When the judge read the sentence, he kept his head down. Only, when he heard the prison term, did he lift his head to look at me. There was no regret in that gaze, only resentment. After court was adjourned, he was led away. As he passed me, he paused. Susie won. The babe held him back, but he smiled. Are you sure you'll win next year? I looked at him. I'm not trying to beat you. His smile froze. You were never my goal. In that instant, something on his face shattered. It wasn't regret. It was the pride he cherished most, thrown to the ground in front of everyone. I walked out of the courthouse. The sunlight was blinding. Jiayu stood waiting for me at the bottom of the steps. She had cut her hair short, holding 2 review books in her hands. Shall we go? Where to? Tutoring. She raised the book slightly. Didn't we agree to retake the exams together next year? I looked at her, and suddenly I smiled. All right. During that year of retaking classes, we rarely spoke of the past. She sat next to me every morning. We were in the classroom by 6:30, and we didn't leave until 11:30 at night. Her foundation wasn't strong, but she could endure. Notebook after notebook of mistakes, she filled them all. Sometimes, while writing, she would zone out. I knew what she was thinking. That cheating scandal hadn't just cost her 1 college entrance exam. It had stolen her simplest trust in the world. One evening during self-study, it was raining heavily outside. The classroom was empty except for the 2 of us. She suddenly asked me, Susie won. Are you still afraid of entering the exam hall? I stopped writing. After a long pause, I said, yes. She nodded. Me, too. We didn't comfort each other. We just kept our heads down and continued solving problems. The rain outside was loud, the scratching of pen tips against paper, one after another, like grinding away old memories. On June 7th of the second year, I stood at the exam site entrance again. This time, I brought my admission ticket, ID card, and 2 pens. I opened my backpack and carefully checked everything. Josa stood beside me, checking her own bag. We exchanged glances. No strange items. Me neither. She smiled. The bell rang. The crowd began streaming toward the school gate. I looked up and saw the surveillance camera at the entrance. Its black lens like a quiet eye. In my past life, I feared it. In this life, I wanted it to see everything clearly. Before entering the exam hall, I touched the admission ticket in my pocket. The edges had grown soft from being held. That was the second time I carried it into the college entrance exam hall, and the first time I walked in for myself. On the day results were announced, Joja was more nervous than I was. She sat in my living room, fingers constantly picking at the sofa edge. I entered my admission number and pressed search. The page froze for a few seconds. Then the score appeared. Enough for Tsinghua. Zhao Ziyu screamed and hugged me. I was almost choked by her embrace. Her own results came out too. She stared at the screen, crying so hard she couldn't speak clearly. My parents stood nearby, eyes red, smiling. That night, I received an anonymous email. The subject line read, I'm sorry. Inside was only a photo. On a hospital window sill sat a bouquet of white daisies. A note was pressed beside the flowers. The handwriting was Lin. Don't forgive me. Keep moving forward. I stared at it for a long time. Then I saved the email into a folder. The folder was named June 7th. On the first day of school, I stood at the entrance of Tsinghua University. Sunlight shone on the school plaque, so bright it was almost blinding. So I shouted through the phone, Susan, I'm at Peking University. Have you arrived? I'm here. Does that mean we've both made it? I didn't answer immediately. Freshmen passed by, dragging suitcases, wheels rolling over the bricks, making a rumbling sound. I took out the old admission ticket from my bag. Its corners were worn white. There was a faint crease across it. That was where the past life and this life overlapped. I tucked it back into my book. My phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Susie won. Do you still remember me? I stared at the screen. I didn't. Need to guess. Won how? He hadn't been released from prison. That message must have been forwarded through someone else. Or maybe it was his last bit of restless probing. I replied, I remember. A long pause before the reply came. Do you hate me? I stood at the school gate, watching the flow of people moving inward. This time, my back didn't feel cold, my fingers didn't tremble, and I didn't think of that blackened screen. I typed, "I don't. Why?" I looked down at those 3 words, then slowly replied, "Because you no longer matter." Sent. I turned off my phone. I lifted my foot and stepped through the school gate. Wind blew down from the treetops, flipping open the book in my arms. That old admission ticket peeked up from one corner, then was gently covered again by the pages, like an exam that had finally ended. No one would ever fill it out for me again, and no one could ever turn off my screen.